Hello everyone. In last video we talked about the various characteristics of living and we learned about the defining features of living organisms, which are there are three in number, which are cellular organization, metabolism, and lastly consciousness. And at last day I told you that I will teach you the next topic, that is your biodiversity. That is biodiversity. What do you understand by biodiversity? And what do you understand by diversity first? Okay, let us break this into two parts, bio and diversity. Okay, now you know that bio comes from the word bios, which means living. Okay, bio comes from the word bios, which means living or study of, means life forms. Okay, and diversity, what is the meaning of diversity? Diversity means differences. And you must have listened about unity in diversity, being a country, being belonging to country India. So diversity means differences. Diversity means differences. And so what does biodiversity means? Means what are the different types of creatures, what are the different types of organisms which we find in this world. And we started with the meaning of biology. When we started studying biology, we started with the meaning of biology. That means we were studying different types of all the types of organisms, है ना. तो अब ये तो जान गए कि ठीक है what are living. First we understood that what is living. Now we are going to study that how many types of living beings are there. If we will study the different types, if we will know the different types, then only we can study them, right? So that is biodiversity. So what is biodiversity? Different types of living things in this world constitutes biodiversity. Now the biodiversity, known biodiversity of earth, है ना, remember known बोल रही हूँ. There are various species which are still unknown, है ना. Scientists are still detecting them and are finding them, but known biodiversity of the world according to your NCERT is 1.7 to 1.8 million what. कहीं पे भी आप नंबर लिखिएगा तो इसके आगे, है ना, चाहे फिजिक्स हो, केमिस्ट्री हो, बायोलॉजी हो, आप यूनिट ज़रूर डालेंगे, है ना, किस चीज़ के बारे में आप अल्टीमेटली बता रहे हैं ना. तो 1.7 to 1.8 मिलियन क्या ऑर्गेनिजम्स? सिर्फ इतने ही ऑर्गेनिजम्स है दुनिया में? नहीं, दे आर टाइप्स ऑफ ऑर्गेनिजम्स विच आर कॉल्ड एज स्पीसीज, है ना, विच आर कॉल्ड एज स्पीसीज. ठीक है. सो इन द वर्ल्ड देयर आर 1.7 to 1.8 million species. I told you that after a while I will talk about species in the next videos. Okay, so this is the biodiversity of the world. Now I have to study this biodiversity. I have to study all the types of living creature. That is what biology is. Now tell me, is it possible to study all these living creatures, all these type of living things in one lifetime? 1.7 to 1.8 million species को क्या आप पढ़ सकते हैं एक लाइफ टाइम में? Is it possible? It is humanly not possible. ठीक है. पता चला कि मेरे पापा पढ़ रहे थे, फिर हम पढ़ रहे हैं, फिर मेरी बेटी पढ़ी. इट्स लाइक दैट, है ना. इट विल गो ऑन एंड स्टिल वी आर नॉट एबल टू कंप्लीट दैट. सो बट पढ़ना तो मेरे को है. सो व्हाट वाज द वे क्रिएटेड बाय साइंटिस्ट, है ना. अब मान लीजिए मेरे को किसी जगह के बच्चों के बारे में जानना है ना. इट्स अ वेरी सिंपल एग्जाम्पल. मान लेते हैं I want to study about the students of Albedo Institute. Obviously I cannot study about each and every one of them, है ना. That is not possible. So what I will do is I will group them, right? I will group them according to their classes. They are of class 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12, है ना. 11, 12 में I will group them according to their, they have taken biology or they have taken maths. Then we will further group them that they are girls, they are boys. And in this way, if we have grouped all the students into various groups, and if I study, the broad characteristics of that particular group, is it not possible that I will get to know some things about all the groups, and like that I will get to know something about the students of Albedo Institute? It's just like that. Since we cannot study all the 1.7 to 1.8 million species in the world, what do? We group these organisms. We group all the organisms into various groups. And how do we group them? We group them on the basis of some characteristics. And students of Albedo Institute were also grouped on the basis of characteristic. What was the characteristic? Yes, she belonged to class 8, she belongs to class 9, and she's a girl, she's a boy, he is a boy, and just like that we will group various organisms into various groups. ठीक है, एंड देन वी विल स्टडी इट. दैट इज हाउ वी स्टडी द बायोडाइवर्सिटी. नाउ सिंस वी हैव टू स्टडी बायोडाइवर्सिटी, यू कैन स्टडी इट बाय अ प्रोसेस विच इज कॉल्ड एज टैक्सोनॉमी. ठीक है, how will you study biology? You will study biodiversity or biology with the help of a process which is called as taxonomy. ठीक है, taxonomy. So what is taxonomy? Taxonomy has got 4 processes. Okay, taxonomy has got 4 processes. What are those processes? Those processes are basic to taxonomy, and if you do taxonomy, you can study any organism or all the organisms in this world. So the first process is characterization, and I'll explain each one of them one by one. Okay, first one is characterization. Then there is identification. Then there is classification. And the last one is nomenclature. Characterization, identification, classification and nomenclature. Now what do you mean by these? And now remember that you have to remember all these in this sequential step only. ठीक है, NCERT में स्टार्टिंग में थोड़ा इधर उधर हौच पौच तरीके से दिया हुआ है, बट आप लास्ट में पेज नंबर 6 में देखिएगा, है ना, स्टार्टिंग के सेकेंड, थर्ड या फोर्थ लाइन पे दीज आर द बेसिक प्रोसेसेस टू टैक्सोनॉमी, है ना, वहाँ पे समराइज किया हुआ है. एंड दिस इज द स्टेप्स, दीज है ना, दिस इज हाउ यू हैव टू रिमेंबर इट. यू कैन नॉट चेंज द ऑर्डर. इनफैक्ट नीट में क्वेश्चन भी आ चुका है इसके ऑर्डर के ऊपर. यू जस्ट हैड टू रिमेंबर द ऑर्डर ऑफ टैक्सोनॉमी. ठीक है, सो लेट अस प्रोसीड विद द फर्स्ट वन. व्हाट इज कैरेक्टराइजेशन? Now imagine that you have to study about me. That is biology, है ना. मान लेते you have to study about an organism. That means you have to study about me. What will you do first? You will first see me, है ना. You will first characterize me. अच्छा, what type of species is this, है ना. You are looking at me. You will see that I have 2 eyes. I'm able to speak. I have got 2 hands, right? I have got fingers. I have got skin. So you will see these. What is this? These things which you identify the features of different, you know, identify the different features of an organism. This is what is called as characterization. You characterize that particular organism so that what can you do? So that you can identify it, है ना. For identifying me, how will you identify that I am a human? What is the scientific name of humans? That is Homo sapiens, है ना. I'll come on to that. So how will you identify that ma'am here who is teaching, she is a Homo sapien, she is a human? So first you will do what? You will first characterize me, है ना. She has got the features of human. She has got a head, hands, legs and so on. ठीक है, and after you characterize me, you will identify me. You will identify, अच्छा, this is the creature I am talking about, this is the human I am talking about. Okay, next there is classification. Now since there are various number of organisms, the biodiversity is 1.7 to 1.8 million, right? So you need to classify organisms, as you cannot study each and every organism, and just the thing which I explained a few minutes back, and you have to classify, you have to group organisms into various groups so that you can study about the whole biodiversity in this world, as it is not possible to study one by one creature. It is not possible to study all the types of 1.7 to 1.8 million species in this world. The last one is nomenclature. Okay, you identified me as a human. How can you identify that yes I am a human? You need to name me, right? That you can, how will you say that अच्छा वो bio वाली मैम थी, उनका नाम क्या था? You must know the name so that you can refer to that particular organism. So these 4 processes are basic to taxonomy. अगर आप name नहीं करेंगे तो फिर आप उसको next time refer कैसे करेंगे? All right. So the 4 basic processes to taxonomy are, first one is you will see that particular organism, and ऐसे याद रखना, you will first see that particular organism. What will you do? You will identify the features. That is what is, you will identify the characteristics of that organism. That is characterization. Characterize कर लिए, उसके बाद what we will do? Characters के basis में अच्छा ये वो है, we will identify that particular organism. After that We cannot study each and every organism, right? We will group that particular organism into some group, and that is what is called as that we classify that particular organism into some group, and that is what is known as classification. And last one, for referring to that organism again, we need to name that organism. So the last process to that is nomenclature, है ना. इसमें हमें डिटेल में पढ़ना है आपका क्लासिफिकेशन एंड नोमेनक्लेचर, ठीक है. These two processes you have to study in detail. So now let us come on to the classification, ठीक है. Now classification is made on different levels, है ना. जैसे कि हमने अल्बेडो में भी स्टूडेंट्स को कैसे क्लासीफाई किया था, डिफरेंट लेवल्स पे किया था. पहले हमने क्या देखा, पहले हमने देखा कौन कौन से क्लास में. सो द फर्स्ट लेवल ऑफ क्लासिफिकेशन वाज क्लास, है ना. देन we classified students on the basis of subject, so that was the second level. Then we classified students on the basis of their gender, either they are a girl or they are a boy. So these, like this in taxonomy also, in classification for taxonomy also, there are various levels in which you classify any organism. Okay, so those levels, they are called as taxonomic categories. They are called as taxonomic categories or taxa or rank. All right, so please write down. Next we are going to study about the taxonomic categories. All right, we are going to study about taxonomic categories. Actually, please write down that in taxonomic hierarchy. Taxonomic hierarchy. Last day only I told you the meaning of hierarchy. What is the meaning of hierarchy? Arranging anything on the basis of increasing or decreasing levels. That arranged form of something is what is known as hierarchy. All right, so taxonomic hierarchy is the hierarchy in which we arrange various taxonomic groups, various ranks, various taxons according to their increasing or decreasing level. All right, so first let us write down the definition of taxonomic category, है ना. क्या क्या बोलते हैं, इसका ढेर सारा नाम है. फर्स्ट इज taxonomic category, ठीक है. या फिर क्या बोल सकते हैं इसको, टैक्सा बोल सकते हैं, या फिर क्या बोल सकते हैं, रैंक बोल सकते हैं, ठीक है. टैक्सॉन एक्चुअली, है ना. याद रखना, टैक्सॉन इज सिंगुलर, है ना. टैक्सॉन इज सिंगुलर एंड टैक्सा इज प्लूरल. टैक्सा इज प्लूरल, ठीक है. तो अगर हम कहेंगे टैक्सोनॉमिक कैटेगरीज तो विल से टैक्सा, वी विल से रैंक्स, है ना. एंड इफ आई एम रेफरिंग टू सिंगुलर देन आई विल से दैट इट्स टैक्सोनॉमिक कैटेगरी और टैक्सॉन और रैंक. All right, so please write down taxonomy. These are the various levels at which an organism is classified in taxonomy, ठीक है. So that is the meaning of taxonomic category. Now what is taxonomic hierarchy? Please write down the arrangement of all the taxonomic categories in increasing level is taxonomic hierarchy. याद रखना, biology में when we study about the hierarchy of living organisms, we specifically arrange with, you know, the lowest being the bottom one and the highest of the highest hierarchy being at the topmost side. All right, so we arrange from low to bottom and up topmost, ठीक है. So that is taxonomic hierarchy. So now let us look into the taxonomic hierarchy of biology. For this, please come on to page number 10 of your NCERT and look at that diagram. ठीक है. So we will write down the taxonomic hierarchy, and it starts from the lowest level of classification is species. Then, and actually I have remembered it from upwards down, so I will write it from upwards down, then I will put the arrows back like this. So first one is, the topmost is kingdom, then it is phylum, then it is class, then it's order, then it's family, then it's genus, and finally it's species. ठीक है, अब एक चीज़ याद रखना, that the phylum है ना, the second level of classification, phylum is for animals and division is for plants. ठीक है, याद रखना, प्लांट्स जिसमें पी होता है वो फाइलम जो पी होता है दैट डज नॉट लाई विद पी, है ना, मतलब उसमें पी है, एक ही पी रहेगा, प्लांट है तो उसमें फाइलम नहीं आएगा, दो पी नहीं रहेगा, है ना. सो प्लांट हैज गॉट डिविजन एंड फाइलम फॉर एनिमल. सो दिस इज द टैक्सोनॉमिक हायरार्की विच वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. ठीक है, किंगडम, फाइलम, क्लास, ऑर्डर, फैमिली, जीनस एंड स्पीशीज. यू हैव टू लर्न इट बाय हार्ट. ठीक है, ये आपको याद होना चाहिए, एग्जाम्स में आपके बोर्ड्स में पूछता है, इट्स आस्क्ड इन नीट ऑब्वियसली. ठीक है, सो this is the classification. Now about classification, about different taxonomic categories, further I'll discuss it later on. First let us discuss about nomenclature. ठीक है, so the next topic which we are going to study is about nomenclature. ठीक है, that is nomenclature. What we are going to study is specifically called as scientific nomenclature. It is called as scientific nomenclature. What do you understand by scientific nomenclature, है ना? See, there are two types of nomenclature. There are two types of names by which you can call an organism. One can be the common name or one can be the scientific name. Now what is the common name? The common name is the common names by which we call an organism, है ना. जैसे कि layman के term पे what you will call me, you will call me a human, so that human is a common name. But there are also some things which are called as scientific names. Okay, what are scientific names? Scientific names are names given to an organism and on scientific basis, and they are used by scientists and researchers all over the world. Now what was the need for a different scientific name? Understand that an organism can have many common names in many languages. Like you call me a human in English, you call me a आदमी इन हिंदी, है ना. तो अगर इफ़ आई गो टू अमेरिका एंड से आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट एन आदमी, विल दैट पर्सन बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड इट? He will not be able to understand it. So there was a need for uniformity of name all over the world, so that when we are talking science to science, we can refer to that particular organism, and that is why we came on to scientific nomenclature, है ना. Scientific nomenclature specifically names one organism, है ना. There are various organizations, I will tell you about it. Those organizations, they name an organism, and that particular organism is known by that particular name all over the world, and it does not matter the country, does not matter the place, does not matter the ethnicity. So then this is about scientific nomenclature. Let us look on to some rules of scientific nomenclature. So the first rule is that they are all derived from Latin or Greek. They are derived from Latin or Greek, and if they are not derived from these languages, they are then Latinized, है ना. Generally it is Latin, or some cases it is Greek, है ना. तो mostly it is Latin. So whenever you have to choose between one option, please choose Latin more than Greek, है ना. Latin will be more than Greek. Now if the name is not from Latin language, then it must be Latinized, it must be converted onto that language. So the name must be Latinized. The name must be Latinized. Now why Latin or Greek? Why Latin or Greek? Think, we need constant names for all the time and all the places. ठीक है, and these Latin and Greek, they are termed as dead languages. Latin and Greek, these are dead languages. What do you understand by dead languages? That means they are no longer used for communication in today's world, है ना. They were used at some time, but now they are not used anywhere in the world. that is why they are called as dead languages. Okay, now what is the benefit of using dead languages? Dead languages, since they are not spoken, they are not evolving. And what is the meaning of evolution? Evolution means change with respect to time. Since we are not speaking these languages, the change in these languages is zero. So that is why a name of an organism which was 10 years back, it should remain the same after 10 years. But is the case same with Hindi or English? No. There are different types of words which are coming and going, as they are always these languages, they are evolving, because they are continuously, they are being used for communication in today's world. So since these are dead languages, the scope for change is very low. The scope for change in name, the scope for change in name is very low. Since we need a constant name for an organism in this world, so the change in name is, the scope for change in name is very low, very low. Alright, so this is the first. The second rule is that when you are writing a scientific name, you must separately underline the words. You must separately underline the words. When will you underline it? When you are handwriting it. When you are handwriting it. Okay, when you are handwriting it. And when you are typing it, when a scientific name is typed, it is written in italics. Then it is not underlined and it is written in italics. Italics. It is written in italics when printed. ठीक है, इट इज रिटन इन इटैलिक्स व्हेन प्रिंटेड, है ना. जाके देखना, बहुत सारे ऑर्गेनिज्म का नाम, जैसे कि लीशमैनिया ना, आप बुक में अपने देखिए, मैंजिफेरा इंडिका मस्ट बी रिटन. सो दैट particular, those two particular words, they are written in italics. Now why do we why are they printed in italics, and why do we write it, when we write it, we underline them separately? Why do we do that? We do that to denote their Latin origin. We denote that yes, these names, these scientific names, they have been Latinized or they have been derived from Latin language. So the aim for separately underlining these or printing them in italics is that we denote their Latin origin. Latin origin. Okay. After this, we will continue in the next video.